You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey guys, Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk. How are you today? You know, I had a lot of topics that I was going to talk about with my vlog this week, but, with the news today of the passing of legendary college football coach, but also coach in the pro ranks, Howard Schnellenberger, at the age of 87 years old, I thought it only fitting to talk a little bit about Coach Schnellenberger today. His legacy will forever be tied to the ascension of Miami Hurricanes football. Without Howard Schnellenberger, in my opinion, there is no Miami Hurricanes football, at least not as we know it today. It's trying to make a resurgence today, but the original ascension, again, was tied to Howard Schnellenberger and his Miami Hurricanes defeating the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers for the national championship in 1982. Now, that might be debatable to some people, but not to this guy. Now, Schnellenberger was a lifer as a coach. He started out with the legendary Bear Bryant at Oklahoma. He was rumored to be in line for that job many, many times throughout his career, as he was for many jobs. And Howard did not stay at one place forever without rumors starting. He actually coached not only at Miami, obviously, but also at Louisville, Oklahoma, a very short stint of 1 year there. It just didn't work out. And then he kind of built a Florida Atlantic program from scratch to be a very respectable program. He also coached in the NFL under equally, even more legendary Don Shula. He was the offensive coordinator for the only undefeated Super Bowl champion in NFL history. And he also was the head coach for a very short time of the Baltimore Colts, which did not go well. The States got rid of him in pretty short order. But again, Howard ended up at the University of Miami and turned that program around. It had floundered. It had some good players. Jim Kelly was there before Howard Schnellenberger. But it really didn't kick off until Coach Schnellenberger took over and just changed the whole trajectory of the program. Really culminating in that defeat on New Year's Eve night. Not New Year's Eve night, New Year's Day night. New Year's night of the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers. Tom Osborne will forever be vilified probably in Nebraska for going for two to win the game instead of kicking a field goal or an extra point and getting a tie and probably winning the national championship and maybe changing the course of history. If Coach Osborne kicks the extra point there and they tie, Miami doesn't win the national championship. Miami doesn't even, who knows what happens? Coach Schnellenberger left Miami shortly thereafter and really seized on the opportunity, but that game put Miami on the map. And I hope Miami fans remember that. I mean, I think younger fans, maybe, I would say fans who were of the Miami teams that started winning national championships regularly under Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson. Then there was a lull, and they won under Larry Coker in the early 2000s. Had some really good teams, but the team has fallen on hard times since. And I wonder if even the guys that remember Miami Hurricanes football, they did a 2-part 30 for 30. I think it was 4 hours on Miami Hurricanes dynasty on ESPN. But again, that was really covering the Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson stretch in the 80s and early 90s. Howard Schnellenberger gets forgotten. Now, he's brought up, but I wonder if people who really think back about Miami and think about that success, if they really, really understand that the booster for that entire program and that entire run was that 81 team of Schnellenberger, Bernie Kosar quarterback, and that great game against Nebraska. It's who's to say? We don't know what would have happened if Nebraska ties that football game. But Miami was a 2-touchdown underdog in that game, if I remember right. And they not only won the game, and I'll be honest with you, I give Coach Osborne credit for going for 2 in that spot. But if he doesn't and he kicks that extra point, how does history change? Howard Schnellenberger probably doesn't leave Miami. Maybe they never win a national championship. I don't know. But it changed the lives of Howard Schnellenberger and everybody connected to Miami Hurricanes football from that night forward. And that can't be forgotten. And Coach Schnellenberger also, by the way, that wasn't his only coaching stop, as we talked about. Very successful at Miami. 1983 was that championship, by the way. But after leaving Miami, he took some big dollars to coach in USFL, and that didn't work out well. He ended up back at Louisville, which was a very floundering program, and he turned that team around. Had him in a Fiesta Bowl in 1990. Ranked in the top 20, top 15 that year. Finished in the top 20 several years. Louisville had been nowhere in football for years, if ever. He turned that into an opportunity at Oklahoma. Did not work out well there. He went 5-1, and the Sooner fans chased him out of town, probably for lack of a better term. Maybe not fans, but maybe not just the fans, but the fans and the press. Just wasn't a good fit. Through all these years, too, there was all these rumors always tying Coach Schnellenberger to Alabama, where he started with Bear Bryant, as I said, and won national championships as his assistant. None of those panned out, though. After the Oklahoma experience, he was out of football for a bit and came back and really took over Florida Atlantic. He really built a Florida Atlantic product from nothing to something not special necessarily. They weren't 1A at that time, but he brought that team from 1AA to 1A and made it a very, very competitive team before he left. Took it to 2 bowl games. Didn't end great. They ended on a down note, but the Florida Atlantic job now is not a horrible job. Lane Kiffin went there and rebuilt his resume, for lack of a term, his reputation, and turned that into a head coaching job at Ole Miss. So listen, you can't dismiss the impact that Howard Schnellenberger had on football at both the NFL level as the offensive coordinator of the only undefeated, unfortunately for my New England Patriots, the only undefeated Super Bowl champion in history. He turned Miami Hurricanes football from an afterthought in the state of Florida, not to mention the country, into a national power with that one game. Well, we look at it as one game, but that was the pinnacle of what he had built at Miami. Took several years to do that, but it did happen. And it was because of Howard Schnellenberger that Miami football has the reputation, or was able to go on and build the reputation that they did going forward. Now, as I said, he left immediately after that national championship. If he stays, do they win as many as they want? If Jimmy Johnson doesn't come in and then in turn Dennis Erickson, I can't say they wouldn't. And there's no way to know. But I'm pretty confident that if Howard Schnellenberger hadn't turned his team around, he took over a really bad team. As I said, his first year they were 5-6. And he got them better, 9 wins in their second and third seasons, culminating in that 11-1 season in 1982, 1983 season with that huge win over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So I want to say, rest in peace, Howard Schnellenberger. Wonderful job. Your legacy is intact with those of us who pay attention to what really means something in football, and the little bits of fate that turn things around, and people forget about these things. I don't know if Howard Schnellenberger gets his due, but I'm giving Howard his due today, and I hope you will as well. I hope Miami fans will. I hope Dolphin fans will. I hope Alabama fans will. I hope Louisville fans will. I'm not sure about you Oklahoma fans, but I hope you realize that you had a chance at having a really good coach. It didn't work out for a lot of reasons. And certainly Florida Atlantic, I think you've got him to thank for having a respectable football program at the 1A level today. So I say, Godspeed, Howard Schnellenberger. Great job. Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. I'm out for today. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.